Hi everyone and welcome back to this channel of crafting, crochet and knitting. My name is Nikki. How are you guys doing? I hope you can tell from the tone of my voice that I am super excited for this video. I'm doing really well. Basically, I've finished the Christmas family sock-a-thon. Woohoo! So yeah, that is something like 8 pairs of socks for my family members for Christmas. Finally finished. What are we, like 2 months later? Oh, what a journey. So I'm really excited to share all of those socks with you guys in today's video. I am trying some new video software, so I hope it works. Because I've got lots of photos to show you, and because there's lots of photos, I don't want to be just cut screening all the time. So we're going to try and build on that together. Hopefully it works. So yeah, how about you guys? Have you guys been making socks at all this year? Please leave a link in the comments down below to where we can see photos of your sock makes, or any makes. I love to see what you guys are up to. I know that there is one viewer who's been sending me pictures of like shawls and blankets. Yeah, just brilliant. Keep sending them. I love it. So today, yeah, we're going to talk about socks. I think I'm going to start with some of the earlier works just as I recap, and then I'm going to show you the last pair. So the reason why there are so many photos in this video is because I have actually not just wrapped them, but given my family their presents. So just before the lockdown 2 announcement, I had just a bit of a panic when the new tier system came in that everything was going to go wrong again. And I'm glad I had that little panic, because we made sure that both my parents and my in-laws visited us, and that was just before the lockdown 2 came in. So in the previous attempts we'd arranged visits that were just after lockdown, and we had to cancel them, and that was really discouraging for us and very upsetting. But this time we were on the right side of the lockdown. So on screen now, I hope there is a picture of the pair of socks, which was not the first to be made, but was the pair that inspired this whole endeavour, and that is West Yorkshire Spinners in Bullfinch colour for my mum. So I made my first pair of socks ever and showed them off to my family, and my mum's first question was, who are you going to give them to? And I'm like, not you, they're mine. So yeah, people seem to have a habit of like looking at the stuff you've made as a knitter or a crocheter and going, oh, that's nice, can I have it? My mum did this, and I kind of put her off the scent. And then I just noted the little idea down in my head, and I sort of said, you know, well, socks are expensive to make and they took a lot of time. And they can take a fair bit of time, but the first pair I made obviously took longer. So yeah, I put her off the scent, and then I went off and I ordered a bunch of sock yarn for my family. And I couldn't just stop with my mum. I did my mother-in-law and I did father's, etc, etc. We will get to their pairs. But this was the first, it's not the first self-striping I had to make, but it's the first self-striping I actually realised was self-striping and lined up properly when I made it. So yes, because look at those lovely reds and the black and white. They are her favourite colours, and they did need to line up properly, so I'm glad that they do. The first pair I actually made was for my mother-in-law, and that picture should be on the screen now instead. And this is the Regia Eco line, and I think that the colour was Fire. And basically the purpose behind this one was it was recycled yarn. My mother-in-law is trying to be as plastic free as possible, and she likes things being handmade now as gifts, so that we're not just contributing to stuff being thrown away, which I fully support, and was really happy to use this yarn. My worry was that something recycled might be a bit scratchy, but actually the yarn is great. It's not self-striping, it's kind of got more these blobby sections to it, and I was able to have enough yarn left to make myself a pair. So they are worn quite frequently. They're very cozy, so hopefully my mother-in-law will enjoy those too. Next up we have the fathers. So starting with my father-in-law, so on screen now should be the Opal South Africa colour, which we were hoping would be a little bit more green. Sadly is not, but I still think he's going to like this either way. yeah, just he is a runner, so he appreciates having a good pair of socks and looking after your feet. So I hope he appreciates this pair of handmade socks for him. I can't necessarily claim that they are good quality, but they were handmade, so hopefully they will last him a while. And then I had my father's pair, which I'm going to struggle to remember exactly what this was called, but I think the translation was like Yarn Thieves, and it is an opal, I think a Regenwald colour, but I will put in the descriptions all of the yarns, so if I'm wrong, the correct ones will be down there. And this one was another self-striping one, but with such a long colour change. I knew I absolutely had to line my dad's up, because he's the one person who would comment on it if it wasn't lined up properly. And finding the colour change for something so long, I thought I'd found it and then I hadn't, and I'm really glad that these turned out okay in the end, because I didn't believe it until I'd already got halfway down the sock that I'd actually found the correct colour change. So yeah, they worked out okay. And of course, after having planned to do our parents, I sort of turned around to my husband and said, what about your grandpa? Would he like a pair? And he said, yeah, I think he would. And then I thought, okay, but it's not fair to do his grandpa and then not to do my grandparents. But then I thought, okay, well, will my grandparents think that it's scratchy, like old scratchy socks that used to be made? But wool and yarn quality is so much better now, and none of the yarns I've used have been scratchy to wear. So I have stocked up on some more colours, and in fact, why don't I show you his pair, my husband's grandpa's pair now. So here we go. This absolutely beautiful colour. I have such yarn envy for this colour. It's like a grey brown and then red and orange, and I just love it. And actually this sock is different from all the others because of the fibre content. So all the other socks are a 75% wool, 25% nylon blend. This was something like 38 wool, 32 cotton, and then that would leave, trying to do math now, that would leave 30 nylon, which doesn't sound right. I feel like it was a similar nylon content. Maybe slight percentages are slightly different, but that's roughly what it was. And so this has got this slightly softer feel to it, but it does have enough nylon in it so that it should still be hard wearing. And what's interesting about this is there's kind of, if you're looking at the darker tones, you can just about see, I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but let's have a go. You can just about see lighter flecks in the darker one, which almost look like yarn where the colour hasn't struck. And I don't know if that's the cotton maybe. So when I've started dyeing, I've been using a technique which bonds to natural fibres. So that just has made me question whether what I can see is the cotton. It could just have not struck that particular bit. But it has this, it does add this lovely texture to the colour, so I'm not complaining at all. I just got interested in it. I think I'm getting more interested in different fibres than I ever used to be before, because I only used to use acrylic before. And now I've branched out and there's this wool nylon blend, cotton blends. I'm starting to try and take notice a bit more of the fibre content. So that is my husband's grandpa's pair of socks finished. It's a shame, so I still have these because I just could not finish all eight pairs of socks before the second lockdown. So unfortunately these are going to have to wait, and I did have to guess the size as well because we couldn't think of a sneaky way to find out the size for his socks. I know the size of my nana and my grandma's feet because they're similar to mine, and I know I was able to work on my granddad's because they used to golf, and so I was like, oh, so hang on a minute, like what size did he used to use? I thought you used to swap shoes, and like sneaky little conversation that I did there. So yeah, I've shown you his grandpa. I'm going to show you now my grandma and my nana. So let's start with my grandma. Now, the difference here is you should notice there are two pictures on screen. That is because I had like repetitive strain twinges in my wrists when I made my grandma's, and I used sort of kind of subconsciously a looser gauge because I was trying to avoid those twinges. The sock ended up being really loose. I showed it to the colleague at work who got me started on this, and she said, just from the picture, yeah, that looks really loose. It's just going to wear really quickly. So I showed you guys in a previous video how I frogged it back into a ball and redid them, and the resulting pair is also on the screen. And I don't know if you can see whether or not that it is a slightly tighter gauge, so I did have to correct those. Oh, and that was the West Yorkshire Spinners English Rose, which thankfully was not a self-striping yarn, so I got a break from self-striping yarns when I made that pair. But I'm glad I frogged it back, because if it's a gift, it may as well be done right. And then I got really panicked about my Nana's pair as well, which are on the screen now, I hope. And they are the West Yorkshire Spinners Delphinium, which is a purple version of the English Rose. And I ended up cutting very slightly the wrapping paper just to have a sneaky look at my Nana's pair to double check, and thankfully they were okay and I didn't have to frog it back. So yes, my grandma's and my Nana's were a break from the self-striping, and they ended up fine in the end. And the reason I noticed that I'd done such a loose gauge on my grandma's was because I went on to do my granddad's, which are on the screen now, and this is the Opal Jazz Songbook colour. I did his, and it was a so much tighter gauge that I looked at the two and was like, what? And that's why I asked my colleague, and she said, yeah, my grandma's need redoing. But thankfully, obviously, everybody else's were fine. My granddad's pair was originally a colour that I picked out for my dad, but when it arrived, it was far paler than I thought, and than it looked on the website, and so I thought about it, and I figured that it would actually be better for my granddad's wardrobe than it would be for my dad's wardrobe, and so I did switch them up. But you can see that this is another self-striping one, and it actually, the colours in the photo I don't think look as nice as actually what it did look in real life. I didn't get a very good picture of this. But there was a really nice like creamy yellow in there, and a couple of different grey greens, and it was very pretty. So it's a shame that I didn't get a good picture of that. But yeah, that is all 8 Christmas socks for my family. Yoo-hoo! I'm so excited to be finished and to be moving on to other projects. There's quite a few bits that I have been finishing that I started ages ago. So the mood blanket that I showed, I think in last week's video, I just finished the border on. I've got a bunch of ends to darn in, but I'm so excited because actually we can use that blanket now. It's so warm. There are a bunch of things that I'm not going to tell you what they are because I'm going to show you in a future video that I finished recently and are now usable, and yeah, can't wait to show you guys those as well. And also, what I'm going to show you, I did announce it on the channel recently, but I started dyeing my own yarn. So obviously this looks quite pale, it's not very saturated. Oh, actually I've got some yellow, hang on, I've got some yellow in a project bag down here. Here we go. So this is a yellow that I used in the mood blanket, and it's kind of like a mustard, like a dull yellow. And this is the hand dyed. So you can see that my hand dyed is a lot lighter. When I put it in the pan, I was super impatient and I took it out early. And when I took it out, it actually did look a bit more like this this mustard colour. But when I put it in the sink, all that colour came out because I was so impatient. I just wanted to see if it would work at all. This is Aran yarn, so it is probably about 25% wool. I don't know exactly because it was given to me. And so I used acid dyeing, which is a technique which helps bind dye to the natural fibre, so to the wool. And I didn't use enough acid and I wasn't patient enough to wait for it to be striking the yarn properly. So yes, a lot of it did run when it came out, but it's just a proof of concept, sorry. And I can't wait to do more. I'm so excited. So in the new year, probably now, I'm going to show you guys some hand dyeing in my videos. and see what colours I can make. This is just food colouring. I don't want to get respirators. I don't want to get proper powder dyes and do everything, keep pots and pans separate from food. This is, you can bang it in any old food pan with some food colouring and some vinegar and make your own dyed yarn. So super excited for that. As you can probably tell, this is such a long video. I've been so hyped for finishing the Christmas socks, for showing you guys the hand dyed. There's not a lot of it, there's about 10 grams, so if I do a couple of testers of the same sort of weight, I can probably do some little toys out of those. Yeah, I've been super excited for this video and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're looking forward to the next year. Don't worry, the socks are not completely finished with, even though I have finished with my family's pairs for Christmas. I have a pair planned for myself and my husband for Christmas, which I will show you guys in December, I hope, if I can get them finished. And I also have some socks planned in the new year, including my own attempts at making my own sock patterns. So I'm super excited to show you guys that, and I hope that you have been enjoying the knitted socks in this video and will look forward to the ones in the new year. So video is quite long, sorry about that guys. I hope you've enjoyed it, and please leave your photo links in the comments and we'll chat again next week. Okay, bye for now.